For the past 18 years of his life, the last 18 years, he had an indispensable partner, Vickie Kennedy, his extraordinary wife. He writes so lovingly and movingly about their extraordinary relationship in his memoir, True Compass. He said that Vickie was the woman who changed my life, the love of my life, and my soulmate. He tells about so many wonderful stories about Vickie's extraordinary grace and warmth and humanity that we all got to see, as Melody said, after his passing. And it is a gift to the nation, your leadership, Vickie, and how you shared him with all of us. And he also talks about her razor-sharp wit. He shares that when they were first dating, and he was a little nervous about his re-election prospects coming up in 1994 in Massachusetts, his approval rating had plummeted to 48%. And without skipping a beat, Vickie responded, comforting him, "Well, that's really good news because I don't date anybody whose approval's below 47. And that's the kind of relationship they had. He talks about how she was with him every step of the way, through good and through bad, through wonderful times and through challenging times, and how she made him a better husband, a better father, a better son, a better public servant. When I read that, I could relate to that because my wife Vanessa has done the same for me. And I directly experienced Vickie's incredible love and the force of her personality during the Senate campaign last fall. I sent her an email, I think it was 1:30 in the morning, about something that was happening. She emailed me back the next morning, and she said, "Alan, that's great, but I'm worried about your schedule. Why are you emailing me so late at night?" And she said, "You know, when I thought the staff was working Teddy too hard, I would just go in there and cancel events." So I made the mistake of telling Vanessa this story. The next thing I know, she's gone in and canceled a couple of events. She emailed Vickie right away to say thank you. And Vickie emailed back and said, "Way to go." Now, at first, I was really upset. You know, you're in a campaign and you just want to do it all. But when it came time for those events, like one was scheduled at 10 o'clock at night, and there was a debate the next day, I'm like, thank God Vanessa canceled those events, and thank God, Vickie, that you stepped in. So I experienced that directly. And I know that Senator Kennedy was also smitten with Vickie, and he writes about this when he met her, because she was an accomplished professional in her own right when they met. A single mom, a lawyer, a partner, working on issues, important issues of banking and regulation, state and federal law, having graduated summa cum laude from Tulane Law School, making it on her own. And Vickie, in her own right, has led a life of extraordinary public service. She's the founding president of Common Sense About Kids and Guns. She's been a trustee for the Brady campaign. She's been on the board of Stop Handgun Violence. She's been an advocate for issues affecting women and children and families her whole life, homelessness, education. He loved the Senate and making it accessible to school children and all of us to understand this great institution and how it really should work when you have a leader like Senator Kennedy in the lead. She's been recently appointed to the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts by President Obama. Vickie's a devoted and loving mother and grandmother and caretaker for her beloved and Senator Kennedy's beloved Portuguese water dogs, Sunny and Splash. And she has led her life by her values with extraordinary grace and dedication. Vickie, you are an extraordinary bright light for all of us who are blessed to know you and the nation that has fallen in love with you. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Vickie Kennedy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. I am so embarrassed. I really would have preferred that music. I'm telling you, I am so embarrassed. Thank you so much, Alan, for that incredibly, way overly generous introduction. You should definitely talk to my children. You really are a great friend and an incredible inspiration. And anybody who wants to know if one person can make a difference, all they have to do is look at Alan Khazei. Isn't he unbelievable? They only need to meet you, my friend. They only need to meet you. And they need to meet Jean Shaheen and Cokie Roberts, Harris Wofford, Neil Bush, John Podesta, Patrick Corvington, Michael Brown, my friend Melody Barnes, John Bridgeland, Michael Myers, Shirley Sagawa, and so many other dear people here in this room, so many of you who worked with Teddy over so many years. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the difference that you continue to make. It is an honor to be here with you. And what a beautiful film tribute to Teddy. I am very happy there is some time that has passed since I just saw that film. Thank you so much. I'm really deeply moved. And so is Cara, who's here with me today, inspired by her father's example of service, and most of all, blessed by her father's unqualified love. I'm so glad you're here, Cara, as you were on the day the President signed the Edward M. Kennedy Serve America Act, exactly 1 year ago. And what a day that was. It was the culmination of a process that reflected the best of our nation. The people, our Congress, as you've heard, Republicans and Democrats alike, and the President, coming together in common purpose to say that service is our priority. Service is important. This national service law was championed by President Obama and Orrin Hatch and Ted Kennedy, Barbara Mikulski, Mike Enzi, and others in the Senate, George Miller, Buck McKeon, and others in the House, but it could not have happened with all of you. As Teddy said on that beautiful April day a year ago, this bill was forged and advanced by all who serve, all the Americans who give something back for a day or a week or a year or a lifetime. Across history, Americans have risen to great challenges and responded in times of need. And America is America today because of their countless acts of compassion and commitment. As we serve, we not only help others, we change ourselves. My husband understood that while the problems that confronted our society were complex and difficult, men and women of goodwill could make such an enormous difference in the lives of individuals and in the fabrics of local communities. He knew that people serving their communities were like the ripples of hope his brother Robert Kennedy spoke of, that could build a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. He saw this happen with President Kennedy's and Sergeant Shriver's Peace Corps, through which young, idealistic Americans became ambassadors of goodwill for our nation across the globe. He saw how that program ignited the fire of service in people like his friend Chris Dodd and our nephew Joe Kennedy III, and set them on a course of lifetime of service. And he saw this happen with City Year, co-founded by Alan Khazei and Michael Brown, in which our son Curran proudly served, and AmeriCorps, which has provided more than 600,000 of our young people with an opportunity to serve our country since 1994. As all of you understand, while we need laws to prevent discrimination, we can't make America more just, fair, or hopeful unless we touch people's hearts. And we can only do that if we bring people together. And we bring people together through service. Service to others is really a win-win situation. A win for those receiving the benefit and inspiration of a tutor or a mentor who genuinely and unselfishly takes an interest in their educational progress and development, for example, and a win for the person who serves. Studies now prove what everyone who has served already knew. Service in programs like AmeriCorps has a profound impact on an individual's future life. They learn teamwork, enhance self-esteem, get job training, character building. They even network. I know from my own son, Curran, City Year was a positive, life-changing experience. In addition to all the other benefits, it deepened the meaning and purpose of his own life. But that's what service does. Even as a busy senator, my husband read to a young inner-city student at a public school near Capitol Hill every week. Year after year, he recounted how he watched young minds come alive, how he saw in them a new determination to go to college, to make something of themselves, and to give something to others. The first student he read to is now in college, studying to be a teacher herself. The last student he read to is now in the 3rd grade. She wants to be a doctor. I read with her now. Many Americans today are ready to offer their idealism and energy, and the Edward M. Kennedy Serve America Act makes that possible. AmeriCorps programs have long waiting lists of people who want to enlist to have their chance to do the work of change, project by project, neighborhood by neighborhood, in every part of our land and in every part of the world. I remember a story Teddy loved to tell. You may have heard him tell it too. He talked about attending the 5th anniversary of the Peace Corps, where he sat with the very first group of volunteers, and he asked them, "Why did you decide to do this?" Their answer was simple, yet powerful, because it was the first time someone asked us to do something for our country. Teddy was enormously proud of this legislation and how it made possible to ask another generation of Americans to do something for their country, as well as to re-ask another generation to do something for their country, especially during these difficult economic times, which thankfully are improving. Opportunities for service can affirm that despite today's troubles, tomorrow can be a better day. The Edward M. Kennedy Serve America Act aims to set forth the ripples of hope in our communities by authorizing the greatest expansion of service in America since FDR created the Civilian Conservation Corps during the Great Depression. It also authorizes an additional 175,000 AmeriCorps volunteers, bringing the total to 250,000, and increases the educational awards so that more Americans of more diverse economic backgrounds can participate in these extraordinary and life-changing AmeriCorps programs. It extends the areas in which AmeriCorps volunteers serve to build capacity within the nonprofit sector for services related to health care and veterans issues and economic opportunity and clean energy and education. It enhances service opportunities for older Americans and creates a social innovation fund so that nonprofits across the country can learn about best practices and have access to the most cutting-edge and innovative solutions to our most pressing social problems. And more important than perhaps any other single thing, it has a champion in the White House in President Barack Obama, who recognizes the difference that effective volunteerism can play in our communities and who is prepared to back up his words with action. We owe a great debt of gratitude to this president and to this administration for supporting the goals of the Edward M. Kennedy Serve America Act and championing the funding increases needed to achieve those goals. President Obama asked the Congress for and received a 29% funding increase last year for the Corporation for National and Community Service, and is seeking another 23% this year. In a time of enormous budget strain and cutbacks, the depth of this President's commitment to the goals of the Act is impressive and indisputable, and we owe it to him and ourselves to push Congress in every way we can to see those funding goals become a reality, because the needs of the American people are so great and the stakes are so very high. Of course, we shouldn't be surprised by President Obama's commitment to service. Service has defined his life. At a speech at Wesleyan University during the presidential primaries, he said, "We may disagree on certain issues and positions, but we can be unified in service to a greater good." He went on to say that he intended to make service a cause of his presidency. Well, President Obama kept that promise, signing the Edward M. Kennedy Serve America Act into law 3 months after he took the oath of office. As a young man, Barack Obama chose the path of service for himself, or as Teddy would put it, he didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. And thanks to him and to the Republicans and Democrats in Congress and to all of you who fought in the trenches for so long, tens of thousands of our fellow Americans now have the opportunity to walk the walk as well, and our nation is stronger because of it. My husband isn't here to celebrate this milestone with us today, but his ideals live on in all of us who commit ourselves to making our communities and our nation a better place. Thank you for allowing me to join you today. Thank you for all of your kindness.